Hello everyone, welcome to Ask My Classes. So our today's topic of discussion is geotechnical engineering, which is a one of the subject under civil engineering department. So we'll be discussing all the exam specific discussions and MCQs related to this geotechnical engineering. So if you are appearing for any competitive exam related to civil engineering, then these lectures, this series of lectures will be very helpful for you. So in these lectures, we'll be having exam specific discussion and MCQs solved along through these videos. So please stay tuned. Please, if you like the video, go through the entire video. A clear explanation of all the topics has been discussed. So myself, Dr.Sovan, I have done my PhD in civil engineering. So let's begin with today's topic. So first of all, I want to discuss what are the contents of this soil lecture series. So in module 1, I am having origin of soil, soil water relationship, index properties of soil, and soil structure. And under module 2, I have stresses in soil, permeability, seepage. Then in module 3, I have stress distribution in soil. Then in module 4, I have compaction and consolidation. Then in module 5, I have shear strength in soil, then earth pressure and retaining walls, then stability of slopes. Then in module 6, I have shallow foundation, deep foundation, and soil stabilization. So each of the modules will be completed in this soil lecture series, and under each module, all the topics will be discussed with deep content discussion and MCQs from each of the chapters. So let's begin with today's lecture, that is origin of soil. So first of all, we need to know that soil exists in a three-phase system, that is solid plus water plus air. So these three materials, that is solid, water and air, or these three phases are the sole cause for the development of this technical term called soil. So it can also exist in a two-phase system, that is dry soil and saturated soil. Dry soil means the combination will be solid plus air, and saturated soil means the combination will be solid plus water. So we must know that soil generally exists in a three-phase system, but there are possibilities it can exist in a two-phase system. And we should also know that a single-phase system of soil cannot exist. Okay, so if you see, the solid will always exist. The solid will always, whether water may be there, air may be there or not, but the solid part of the soil will always exist. So now, soil is formed by weathering or disintegration of rocks. So the parent material from which rock is formed are the huge rocks that are present in the mountains. So either physical or chemical weathering or disintegration of rocks leads to the formation of soil. Then we can have the overall definition of soil. Soil may be defined as a three-phase system consisting of solid, water and air, which are intermixed with each other and whose relative proportion decides the proportion of soil. So the proportion in which solid, water and air exist will decide the proportion of soil, or will decide the type of soil, and will decide the type of soil's suitability for vegetation in that location. Then this soil formation or this study of soil is called soil formation is called pedogenesis, and it happens due to a combined effect, the human impact on environment in physical and biological process working on the soil parent material. So as we know, the soil parent material is rocks. So the human's environmental, physical or biological impact on the rocks will lead to the formation of soil, and this is called pedogenesis. So climate regulates the soil formation. So we should also know that soils are more developed in areas with higher rainfall and more warmth. So areas with good amount of rainfall and good amount of temperature will have good quality of soil. So the rate of chemical weathering increases by 2 to 3 times when the temperature increases by 10 degrees centigrade. So the formation of soil or the disintegration or the weathering of this parent material, that is rock, will increase by 2 to 3 times if the temperature increases by 10 degree. So the soil formation cycle, it involves a complex interplay of geological, biological, chemical and physical processes that transforms rocks and minerals into soil over time. So the entire formation cycle is dependent on the geological, biological, chemical and physical processes that affects the rocks and minerals into soil over time. So these natural processes, rocks and minerals into. Okay. Then the first process is weathering. First process is weathering. So what happens in weathering? It involves the physical, chemical and biological breakdown of rocks into smaller particles. So whether physically or chemically means a reaction with oxygen or water or some other chemicals, the rocks may break down, or biological breakdown of rocks into smaller particles. Initially, what happens? These huge particles get converted either through physical or chemical or biological. In physical, either due to gravity, they may fall down, or due to impact or abrasion, or due to the effect of rainfall, or the effect of plants and animals. Okay, so this happens in weathering. In the context of volcanic soil, the materials ejected from volcanoes contribute to the formation of new soil through volcanic eruptions that break down rocks into volcanic arcs and other materials. Okay, so the next process of soil formation cycle is deposition. So after volcanic eruptions, materials such as volcanic ash are deposited on the earth's surface. These deposits form the basis for the development of volcanic soil, which can be rich in minerals due to the volcanic activity. Okay, so these after the volcanic eruption has happened, so when the volcanic ash start to settle down on the earth surface or start to cool down over the earth surface, what happens? They get converted into the formation of a volcanic soil, and these volcanic soils are very rich in minerals because of the volcanic activities. The next process that comes under transformation cycle is transformation. Okay, transformation. Over time, the deposited volcanic materials undergo further weathering and chemical process. So, though the volcanoes or the volcanic ashes are present over the surface of Earth, they will come in contact with nature. So, in nature, either they will come in contact with water, or they will come in contact with some chemicals, or they will come in contact with some wind and all. So, in coming in contact with all these natural things, they undergo further weathering and chemical processes. This can lead to the alteration of minerals and the release of nutrients, shaping the characteristics of volcanic soils. Like if there is a heavy rainfall, then the minerals, the nutrients of the soils will start moving from one point to another point. So what will happen? The shape of the character or the characteristics of the volcanic soil will. Next point in the soil formation cycle is incorporation of organic matter. While volcanic soil may initially be low in organic matter, over time, organic material from decomposing plant and animal remains can be incorporated into the soil, enriching its fertility. So the fresh soil which has been disintegrated or weathered from the volcanic ash may be infertile. So in with lapse of time or with growing period or in a continuous span of time, what will happen? Some organic material from decomposing plant and animal remains may get mixed with that volcanic soil, and the fertility will increase. Then the fifth point is erosion and transport. So in contrast to volcanic soil, residual soil such as that formed from the weathering of bedrock in place does not involve significant transportation. Instead, the weathered material remains in situ and undergoes further transformation to develop into soil. So generally what happens in soil, either it gets eroded or it gets transported with the help of wind or with the help of rainfall or with the help of ice, glacier. There are so many, or with the help of river water. So there are so many forms of transporting the soil from one place to another, and they have got different names. So, but this volcanic soil, they generally, these are the residual soils. They do not move from one place to a significant place. That's why they remain in that same place, and they are called the residual soils. But there are some other soils. Though we are talking about here volcanic soil as an example, we are discussing more into it. But if you take generally, there is chances of erosion and there are chances of transportation. Then comes soil horizons formation. So this is the final step where the soil horizon is formed. Soil horizon means your solid layer, your water layer, then your air layer. Because we have learned in the first slide only that the soil is formed by intermixing solid water and air in the proper proportion, so that we can get a proper proportion of soil, or we can define a soil, whether it is a clay soil or a silty soil or a sandy soil, cohesive soil or non-cohesive soil. So finally, as weathering continues, soil horizons start to develop, characterized by distinct layers with varying composition and properties. These horizons, including the topsoil and subsoil, play a crucial role in supporting plant growth. So for this growth of the plant, the topsoil and the subsoil play a crucial role, and finally the soil layers are formed, and finally the infertility or the fertility or the type of soil is defined finally in this step. Okay, then we have biological activity. Then we have biological processes such as the activity of microorganism, plants and soil fauna contribute to the ongoing development of soil by breaking down organic matter, cycling nutrients and improving soil structure. So the biological process also helps in developing the fertility of the soil, or in improving the structure of the soil, means whether if the packing of the soil, the void ratios or the porosity of the soil. So there are so many engineering properties related. So these biological processes may have some effect. It's not compulsorily they will have effect. It may have some effect in some of the types of soil. Then the last step is soil profile development. So over time, a mature soil profile with distinct horizons representing different stages of soil development is established. Each horizon reflects specific processes and materials involved in the soil formation cycle. So till now, we have learned that there are total eight steps that forms the soil formation cycle. First is the weathering. In weathering, either it is a physical weathering or chemical weathering. Then the second step is deposition. Then the third step is transformation. Then the fourth step is incorporation of organic matters, like the organic remains of plants and animals. Then we have erosion or transportation of the soil. Then we have soil horizons formation or the soil layer formation. Then we have some biological activity over that soil, and finally the soil profile development. So these eight steps include finally form the soil formation cycle. Like we have a water cycle, so this is how the cycle follows by a soil in its formation from the parent rock to its natural. So now we'll be discussing the types of soil based on their suitability for different types of vegetation. And first we have clay soil. So clay soil is composed of very fine particles. It has a high water and nutrient retention capacity, but tends to compact easily. It means clay soil have a tendency of changing their shape and size very easily, but they have a high water and nutrient retention capacity, which is very good for vegetation purpose, and they are mostly very fine particles. Then we have silt soil. So silt soil is made of medium-sized particles, smaller than sand but larger than clay. So it comes in between clay and sand. So it is also fertile and holds moisture well. Then comes sand soil. Sand soil has larger particles compared to clay and silt. It drains well but does not retain moisture or nutrients effectively. So from the first three classifications, clay, silt, sand, clay is the most fertile, silt is less fertile than sand, but silt is having a medium size shape, which is smaller than sand but larger than clay. And sand soil has larger particles compared to clay and silt, but the only disadvantage of sand soil is it cannot retain moisture or nutrients effectively. Then we have loam soil. So loam soil is a mixture of sand, silt, and clay. It is a well draining, fertile, and retains moisture and nutrients, making it ideal for plant growth. So loam soil is the combination of sand, silt, and clay, and it is very good for any kind of plant growth. Then we have peat soil. Peat soil is rich in organic matter and forms in waterlogged conditions where plant material decomposes slowly. It is acidic and retains water. So peat soil is mostly seen in waterlogged areas, and it where plant material decomposes slowly, and it has a acidic property. Then in the sixth we have chalky soil. Okay, so chalky soil is alkaline and contains a high amount of calcium carbonate. Like the word chalk is there, so it will have calcium carbonate, and it is somewhat alkaline in nature. It tends to drain quickly and can be shallow. Okay, so though it tends to drain quickly and can be shallow, it will not be that much fertile. In seventh position, we have sandy loam soil. Sandy loam is a soil type that contains a good mix of sand, silt, and clay. Sand, silt, and clay. It has a good drainage, retains moisture, and is suitable for a wide range of plants. Then in eighth position, we have black soil, or which is also called as regur soil. Black soil, also known as regur or black cotton soil, is rich in nutrients and holds moisture well. It is prevalent in regions with a semi-arid climate. Like we know that cotton is very good in black soil. Then in the ninth position, we have red soil. Red soil gets its color from the iron content. It is typically well drained but low in organic matter, requiring regular fertilization. So red soil gets its color from the iron content, and it requires frequent fertilization, but it is low in organic matter. Then in the 10th position, we have laterite soil. So laterite soil is rich in iron and aluminum oxides, making it hard and often found in tropical regions. So the presence of aluminum oxides make it a bit hard. So it is poor in fertility and requires amendments for agriculture. Means it can be used for the purpose of agriculture, but it needs proper amendments. Means proper precautions or some mixture is required for this kind of soil. So these are some of the common types of soil found around the world, each with its unique characteristics and suitability for different types of vegetation. Then comes types of soil based on the transportation method. Like we have discussed that the either the erosion and transportation is a major part during the soil formation cycle. So some soils have been distributed based on the purpose of transportation. First is alluvial soil. Alluvial soil is transported and deposited by rivers and streams. It is rich in minerals and highly fertile due to its deposition of silt and clay particles. So alluvial soil, you can remember, it is deposited or it is transported by rivers and stream, and it is having high fertility. Then comes colluvial soil. Colluvial soil is moved downhill by gravity. So here gravity plays a major role for the formation of this soil. Okay, it accumulates at the base of slopes and often contains a mixture of materials from the higher areas. Then in the third position we have lacustrine soil. Lacustrine soil is deposited in lake basins by water. So it is mostly carried by lakes. It is typically rich in organic matter and may vary in composition based on the lake's characteristics. Though it is solely dependent on a lake, so looking into the lake's characteristics, the soil's properties will vary. Then we have glacial soil. As the name suggests, it is formed by the movement of glaciers, which transport and deposit materials such as rocks, sand, and silt. It can be a mix of various particles, size, and mineral content. So, in the path of its flow, when it comes across various organic and non-organic materials, its properties will change. Then aeolian soil or aeolian soils. Eoline or aeoline soil is carried and deposited by wind. So whether aeoline or eoline, it is deposited and carried by wind. It is often consists of fine particles like sand and silt shaped by wind erosion and deposition process. Though it is transported by wind, the particle size is very fine. Then marine soil. As the name suggests, marine soil is prone to deposition in marine environments such as oceans and seas. It can vary widely in composition depending on the marine conditions present. Then we have fluvial soil. Fluvial soil is transported and deposited by the flowing water such as rivers and streams. So it can be a mixture of sediments ranging from gravel to clay. Then we have volcanic soil. As we have discussed during the soil formation cycle, volcanic soil is created by the deposition of materials ejected from volcanoes. It can be rich in minerals but may also be acidic and low in organic matter. Then we have residual soil. So residual soil forms in place from the weathering of the underlying bedrock. It means where the parent rock is there, like one piece of rock is there. So the soil, those are formed beneath the rock or under the rock. They are not transported anywhere. They are found directly just below the rock. Those soils are called residual soil. It does not involve transportation and deposition process but develops from the local parent material. So this was all about the chapter origin of soil. So thank you so much for your patience. So if you like this lecture, please like, share and subscribe our channel Ask Me Classes. The lecture number 2, that is the soil water relationship, will be coming in the upcoming videos. Before that, we'll be having an possible MCQs from this first chapter. So thank you so much for being with us. Goodbye.